What's going on, everybody? You are now tuned in to the Triple M podcast. My name is MP.
Stefan, SB.
Man, I'm pumped for this episode. It's going to be a real treat for you guys because today we have the one and only legendary Angelo Habib. For the people that don't know who Angelo is a true professional in boxing with an amateur record of 47 wins and 3 losses and a pro record of 9-0. Beyond his personal achievements, Angelo is the true driving force behind Olympus Boxing Club, which is a place he and his team established to bring boxing closer to people from all walks of life in Calgary. In the ring or at his gym, Angelo is all about sharing his deep-rooted passion for boxing. So without further ado, Angelo, welcome to Triple M's, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
It's been a long time coming. We've been slowly infiltrating the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
We actually about to.
Yeah,
In a few hours, we're about to stay here and to be more people.
exactly.
Exactly.
Take over the ring.
Right? It's crazy, too, because, like, from what I've witnessed, I'm not from Calgary.
Right.
But from what I see, all you guys breed killers.
100%.
Bro,
Sure.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah, no,
Like,
you're
everyone
right.
here is, like, really high level.
Yeah, no, you're right. We got Cold Lake Boxing Club came in yesterday because they have bronze gloves
Yeah.
at the Chestermere gym, and they're like, "Yo, can we bring some guys over to spar?" I was like, "For sure." They didn't realize like how many guys were sparring here. We got like 20, 30 guys just lined up, sparring on the floor ring, sparring in the actual ring. Like, dude, that's crazy. Like how many guys are sparring out here.
Let's get started. Let's get into, like, the meat and potatoes here. I want to
sure.
know a little bit more about your story. Now, when we spoke a few weeks earlier, you started boxing really young.
Right.
How'd you get into it?
It was my big brother. Like we just, he, like how it all started was like, it was actually at the train station down here in Marlborough. He got jumped at the train station and like just got beat up bad by some older people. And then he decided like he wanted to get into self-defense. So he started going, the first place we went to was dynamic martial arts. Now me and my brother have like 8-year age gap. So he's 8 years older than me. So whatever he did, like he just dragged me along. Yo, you're doing this too. Like you have to do it. I had no choice, right?
Yeah.
Says, yo, we're going to go do martial arts. I was like, all right, sounds good. And then we pulled up to the dojo. That's where we started. I was like 7 years old. We started doing martial arts. He was 14, 15. And that's where we started, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, like we were doing Muay Thai, karate, taekwondo, all that. And I enjoyed it and all that. And then he wanted to get into something more competitive. So that's where he switched over to boxing. Of course, he took me with him. We went to Olympus Boxing Club, and that's kind of where my journey in boxing started.
What age did you switch over to boxing?
I was 12 years old.
12 years old.
Yeah.
That's a long journey, bro.
Yeah, man, I've been at it for a while.
Why'd you guys switch?
Because you know, like dojos, like they like taekwondo, karate. It's not like really competitive. Like, there's no like sparring and stuff like that. Like you just earn your belts and you just like move up. But I feel like Asian like martial arts are so watered down here in North America.
True.
Like if you want to learn real karate, you'd go to Japan.
Yeah.
That's like the real karate. Here it's like just a money grab, right? But we wanted to get into something that was more like competitive. So he switched over to boxing, I switched over to boxing, and then that's how we ended up at Teofista.
Man, it's like a blessing in disguise. Because again, would you say you were pushed by your brother to just go because you, like you said, you just go wherever he goes, kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I was pushed like because I wasn't like a bad kid or anything. I was like, okay, whatever he's doing, I want to do too.
Yeah.
So like if he was doing it, I was like, yeah, I'm doing it too, right? It wasn't like, no, I don't want to go. I was like, yeah, I'll go, right? Like if he's doing it, like that's. Because I always looked at him as like, he's my big bro. It's something cool, right?
Yeah.
If he's doing it, it must be cool or something.
Absolutely.
I'm doing it too.
Were you really close with your bro growing up?
Yeah, we still are. We're like super close. Like,
Oh, yeah. That's how it should be with like
100%.
bros. Like
With siblings, for sure.
100%. Because at the end of the day, like parents, their time is, they'll eventually pass.
It's limited, yeah.
Yeah, but then bros, like siblings, man, they'll be here forever. They'll always have your back, especially like an older bro like yours.
Yeah, 100%.
With boxing, you started around the age of 12 and you started taking it serious from the very beginning. Is that correct?
Basically, yeah, we just like, we'd be at the gym every day. He'd be like, he was more serious about it because he's older than me. And then he'd be sparring and all that. I'd be watching like kind of ringside, just watching him spar.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think I told you guys in Montreal, like I'd be watching him spar Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, which is crazy because like I was 12 years old when Steve was 18 or 19. I was 12 and he was just turning pro. And him and my brother were like sparring partners. Like he was one of my my brother was one of Steve's sparring partners. He had a lot, right? But I'd go sit ringside, just like give my brother water in between rounds and watch him spar Steve, which is nuts because like, you know, you fast forward a whole decade, and it was like now I'm like one of his main sparring partners, you know?
It all comes full circle, eh?
Yeah.
Did your early experiences really shape how you are today as a boxer?
100%, yeah. It was, it's like motivating, right? Like seeing Steve when I was a kid, like go pro and all that, and then win his first like titles. I was like, damn, that's like crazy. I want to do that too, right? So it always motivated me, like, right? It lights a fire under you, and you're just like, hey, I gotta be that too. I gotta be that too, right? So it was always like, I was like probably grade 7, grade 8, just like go home right away, pack my stuff, go to the boxing gym, be at the boxing gym 4 or 5 hours, right? Yeah. Even if I wasn't training 4 or 5 hours, like I was a kid, but I was seeing what people were doing at the boxing gym. Like let's say I was training 2 hours, the other 3 hours with my brother training, I'd just be watching him and all the older guys train. I'd be like, okay, that's how you do that. That's how you throw a hook, you know, and then just absorbing it all. And then go home, sleep, repeat, do it again.
Same thing.
All through like junior high and high school. So it was like never got into team sports, never did any of that. I was just like prepping myself to knowing what I was going to become. I was just prepping myself for it.
It's crazy because like at an early age, that's all you wanted to do. Yeah. For me, bro, I wanted to go home and play in Call of Duty.
Yeah, 100%.
I was gonna say it's totally different. So you say that like as a young kid, you just wanted to be a pro boxer right away.
Yeah, I mean I gamed, right? Like I gamed too, right? Yeah, but it was just like my priority was boxing. I was just like, yo, I want to box, right? So that was like my main priority.
I wish I was like that as a young age. At a young age,
You messed up belt, right?
Yeah, exactly. We would have
all the belts,
right? Exactly. Right? Do you remember your first amateur fight?
Yeah, I was like, so my parents didn't let me like fight till I was like 16.
Okay.
Because they're like, yo, we want you to be a bit older and like get, you know, just stay in school, get better grades and all that.
Yeah.
And like focus on that first. So I was like, okay. So I was still training and all that. They would let me go spar and all that, but they were like, we don't want you to like compete fully. And then I turned 16. I think I had my first amateur fight at 16. By then I already had done thousands of rounds of sparring with people, right? So I was very like experienced. And then my first amateur fight, it was just a lot of like brawling, man. You go in there and like you kind of like black out, you know, like it probably like for a lot of people is the same way. Like you just hear the audience, the adrenaline rush, and you're just like your coach is telling you, okay, do this, do this, do this.
Can't hear him.
And you're just like in one ear out the other. Everything goes black, and you just end up just swinging, man.
Haymakers, you know?
And you just don't listen to your coach. So that's how it went, right?
Yeah. Man, isn't that what happened with you too?
Oh man, it still happens to me. It's crazy when you go to like war mode. That's something I gotta block out. It's just I gotta listen to the coaches. But jump into you had a great amateur career. Being in Canada, 47 or 50 fights. That's a lot. Let's jump right into pros. Like, what made you say I'm ready?
I think it was my last tournament as an amateur. It was end of 2019. It was actually like this time, like exactly this time in 2019. So like November 2019, I went to the Sugar Burt National Championships, which is like a 4-day tournament in Florida. So I went there in Orlando, Florida, and then competed in the tournament, fought the best guys in the States, got to the finals, fought the Ohio State champ. Dude was like, I'll show you a picture after. He was like 6'6", 140 pounds.
Oh,
I don't know. The guy was like a twig, bro.
So it's like Fondura.
But 100%. We get to the, at this point I beat everybody. We get to Sunday, the finals. We were like the last fight, bro. It was like 1 a.m. at the venue.
Oh my god.
Because it's like in the States, they have like, the roster's like 200 fights.
Yeah. Holy.
You look, it starts at like 8 a.m. and then you're like down here 1 a.m. So like we were like the 200th fight that night. So I'm like just trying to stay up.
Yeah.
And the thing with me when I was an amateur, like I'd go everywhere and travel with no coach. Like I would just I'd go fight all these big ass tournaments, no coach, nobody with me. Because my brother was like busy with his kids. I didn't really have like a full-time boxing coach because my full-time boxing coach, Samir Almais, moved to Montreal to be the head coach of Team Canada because he got a position with them.
Wow.
So I had nobody, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to book these flights. And I would just kind of message like whoever the organizer was, or I'd check on Facebook and see who has mutual friends with that person. And I'd be like, yo, can you corner me for the fight? I know you don't know me or anything. Like, you don't know anything about me. Just corner me. All I need is water. I'll figure everything else out, you know? So that's how I got by. Like, I did about 30 fights in the States, and I would say about 20 of them with no, like, coach or anything. Wow. Just some random dude I just met that day that gave me water. So it's pretty ridiculous.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah, right.
So I went, and it was Sunday, like late night, like midnight, and I'm warming up, and the coach was from Pontiac, Michigan, so like near the Detroit area, and I got in contact with him through a coach I knew in Edmonton, and he was mutual friends with this dude, so that's how we like linked up.
Yeah. And
he was gauze taping my hands because that's what they do in amateur boxing in the States. So he's gauze taping me up, and I'm like, man, it's so late. Like, this is gonna be such a late fight. And I'm like wondering who my opponent is. I'm looking around.
So you didn't know until actually?
No, well, I went to weigh-ins, right? I went to weigh-ins that day, and I was like, this guy was like at the weigh-ins, and he like weighed in right in front of me, and I was like, this guy's big, man. We had his tracksuit on, right? So I was like, oh, he's 165.
Yeah.
Right? And then like takes his stuff off. I was like, okay, maybe he's 152, right? Like he's bigger than me though, for sure. I'm not fighting this guy. And then I'm like, you know, leaving stuff. And then the night of, like, I see this guy warming up at the same time as me. I was like, nah, hell no.
Before me. Maybe it's
hell no, that's not him, right?
Yeah.
And like, lo and behold, again, the ring, this guy gets in the ring. The ref's like, okay, touch gloves. I'm staring at him like that. I'm looking like straight up. I was like, I'm done, right? Like in my head, I was like, yo, this guy's huge, right? Ohio State champ. That's like, if you know Ohio State, like Adrian Broner, a bunch of big names are from Ohio. Ohio guys have like 200-300 amateur fights because there's nothing else to do in Ohio State, right? Except for sports. That's why they have good football players, boxers, stuff like that, right? So, yeah, the bell rang when we came out, and the guy like threw the craziest flurry at me, bro. Rocked me.
Right away.
Rocked me. I was like, holy. He's hitting me from here, like where Marv is. This guy's hitting me like.
That's the jab right here.
Boom, boom, boom. I was just like, oh, like what did I get myself into, right?
Yeah.
So I'm clinching in the whole first round. I'm like, damn, this is bad, right? And then bell rings. We get back in the corner. Coach from Michigan's like, that was all he had. Like, he flurried on you. That's it. That was like his best. Now, like, go in and just like outwork him. Now, the weird thing was this guy was so tall, but like he's like Fundora. He liked fighting on the inside. He didn't like outboxing. So I was outboxing the bigger and taller guy. So he was coming at me, and I was just like check hooking him, moving him around, and I beat him unanimously. Like, I just beat him like just on volume. He really like blew his load on in the first round, but he was really good. Tough fight, and that was like that kind of ironed it for me. And when I beat that guy, I have the belt from that fight. It was like they give you this big ass belt, like Sugar Bird National Championships. I won that, and I was like, okay, that kind of cemented me in my head. It gave me a confidence boost that I was like, I'm ready for pro. I could stay amateur for a bit more, but I was like, honestly, like, I had an opportunity to go pro at the time, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go do it.
Man, I love that story, bro. That's a big dude. He's I can't wait to see the pictures, man.
I'll find a picture.
This guy should be in the NBA. Why is he punching people?
Yeah, he's crazy.
Or the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Do you know where he's at now? Or
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll find the picture, but like I don't know where he's at.
I'm thinking about it now, bro, because I'm 5'10". Looking up, I'm like, bro, how am I gonna punch you?
Like, that's me and him in the ring.
Damn.
I'm not small for 140. I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
But like,
how is he 140? This guy's.
But bro, like, look where his hands are.
Yeah.
Bro, it's like right above you, just about.
Like, my head is like right here on him.
Yeah.
My head was like, the top of my head was like right here.
He's basically punching chest level.
Yeah. Guy was massive.
Mental.
The story gets juicier. It was the first time I had like an interaction with like beef with someone after a fight. And I was like, I've never had beef with someone. But so like they gave me the belt. So I'm like, the ref's putting the belt around my waist. They're like, oh, put the medal on. Yeah. So I'm putting the medal on him, and he like just shoves me.
Oh, damn.
Like, out of the way, he just starts cussing at me, right? And I was
salty.
Like, damn, what the hell?
Yeah.
Jumps out of the ring, grabs his book from like the ringside table and just throws it on the ground, grabs the medal, throws it, starts yelling. I was like, damn, this guy's like tripping, right?
Yeah.
And then like we're leaving the venue, and like homeboy rolls up with like 10 of his boys. So I'm like taking a picture with the coach from Michigan. You know, we're having a little moment, you know. And we're like standing behind the banner of like the Sugar Burt Promotions banner. So we're like taking a picture. And this guy comes by and he's like just screaming at me. He's like, yo, like you're a loser. Like, what's with all the clinching? What's with all the clinching? He's like going crazy, right? And he's actually, so he starts like pushing me. So I'm like, okay. So I put the belt down. And I was like, yo, you want me to beat your ass?
Yeah. I mean, we just went. We can go.
And he just starts going crazy, right? So like him and his boys are holding him back. They're like, yo, sorry. Like this guy always gets hot-headed after fights and he starts fights with people. So like security had to escort him out of the venue. But I was like, that's the first time, that's the only time I've ever had like an altercation with someone after fighting them. Because usually you're homies after.
Yeah, exactly. There's a respect there.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. After punching each other in the face, you're like, you know what, you a cool person, you know. But that just speaks that he really wanted to win that bad. And I mean, kudos to you, bro. Fighting a guy that big, I can't imagine, man. But let's move on. Now that we're still on that topic, you know, we talked about your amateur record,
right,
in Canada, that being a lot. But obviously, you said you had about 30 fights in the States itself. What can you say we can do differently here to actually change that? Because when we talked in Montreal, obviously amateurs is so much easier to make it happen, like an amateur event than the pro event. Well, why do we still have that gap where 30 fights is a lot here? But back, like when you go to Eastern Europe, they're doing like 300, 200 fights.
Yeah, I mean, amateur boxing is starting to get good here, actually.
Okay.
It's weird. Like right when I went pro, amateur boxing blew up. It's like more people started competing. Yeah. There's fights every weekend. Like if you even go on like boxingalberta.com/event, you'll see like an event almost every weekend now.
There you go.
It's like, it's crazy, right? So, I think what plays a big part in that is like probably COVID, honestly. Like people just like had nothing to do with those 2-3 years, and then they started seeing like maybe they're watching boxing like fights on PBC or Showtime because they were still airing fights like during COVID.
Yeah.
And motivated some people, but like whatever happened during that period when COVID was over, just like boxing fights, kind of amateur boxing in Calgary, Edmonton, Alberta area blew up.
I mean, that's a good thing, or that we're on our way up, right?
We'll never get to like Ukraine or Russian level.
Absolutely.
Or Ohio State.
Yeah.
Because like these people like literally have nothing to do there.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
Like some people like just have like absolutely nothing to do in those cities or those small towns. So it's like you just box every weekend. Right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, at least we want to be at a point where there's always an event every weekend where you're always, progressing as an amateur, because if you want to go pro, as you know, here it's really a struggle. Right. So if you build that amateur career, in my opinion, at least you'll be more ready. So when you're good to go to the pros, and absolutely like you have that experience already, right? So
100%.
That's what we're trying to at least help people build, is to be in that situation where we don't have to go to the States. Obviously, it's great experience,
right?
But it's also an option to stay here and not miss out on a lot.
Yeah, I think I see where you're getting, and I think like Alberta is starting to get like that high level boxing experience where people can just kind of stay within the province, and have like interprovincial tournaments and still level up off that.
Yeah, absolutely. Or attract other people from different places.
We always say this, like the Western side, we have so much talent.
100%.
So much in this gym.
Gym alone.
Talent.
Yeah.
Right? Like just come here, get that work here, Going pro, the style's completely different.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you struggle at all transitioning?
Oh yeah, like my transition took a long time. Probably took like I was like 5 pro fights in before I started sitting down on my punches, punching less to punch harder, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like going more for knockouts, because like I just had to implement in my head like this is how you fought. Yeah. And then to change all that and rewrite the whole script, it took a long time for me to adjust. Some people it took like shorter periods of time. Some people it takes longer. For me, it was a bit in the middle, right? But even watching like my first or second pro fight and then comparing it to like my last couple ones, like huge difference, man. Like I still had the amateur style going into those first few fights, trying to get points, staying back, throwing with volume, boom, 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 not really like caring about the knockout too much. And then now later into my pro career, it's just like, okay, now I'm going in, throwing a power jab right off the bat, like stunning the guy a little bit, going to the body, working the body a bit more, sitting down on punches. So the transition was like, for me, it took about 5 I was 5 pro fights in, so that's like a year and a half. Honestly, it took me 2 years from going amateur to pro. It took me 2 years to like start catering my style towards pro. As an amateur, I don't need to sit in a corner, load up, and throw an overhand right and then a liver shot. Right?
True.
I don't need to like work on like forearm frames or pulling your hand down, throwing, clinching, and like hitting you with short uppercuts to the body in the clinch. Like, you don't really get all that because the referee's going to get in the way and say, okay, break, keep your head up, whatever, right?
So what would you do differently if you were to like go back into the past your first fight? Is there anything that you would change specifically, or are you happy with your journey?
Honestly, like I say, like everything happens for a reason. So it's made me who I am. It's like, if it didn't go this way, I don't know what way it would have went, but this, like, the path I'm on right now, I'm happy with it, right? I'm grateful for it.
And I think you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Look at this right here, man. Let's talk about that. You're Colombia.
Yeah.
For your last fight. Talk about that experience.
It was awesome, man. Colombia was, I'm like a big world traveler, so this is the 17th country I've been to.
It's a fight and to go travel.
Yeah, so like I think I've traveled, like, so the 17 countries I've been to, I think I've boxed, competed, or taught people boxing in all those countries. So it's pretty cool.
Sick.
Like, as I always related it to boxing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, boxing is really a universal language, man. Like, even if I don't speak your language and I'm a different country with you, I was teaching boxing in Vietnam in 2018, you know? So it's like, even though me and you don't speak, I don't speak Vietnamese and you don't speak English,
Boxing.
I can sit there and tell you to sit in a stance and do this and that, and it's like you automatically understand what I'm saying. So that's the nice thing about boxing. It's a universal language, right?
True. That's so true, man.
But Colombia was awesome, man. It's like I love seeing new countries and like experiencing their food and traditions, cultures. The fight was good though. It was a bit of a journey to get there. I probably wouldn't do it again. Like, we went from Calgary to Toronto. That was like a 4.5 hour flight.
The other way.
Yeah, 4.5 hours, and then 7-hour layover in Toronto. Damn. And then an overnight flight to Bogota, Colombia, which was like another 7.5 hours. So by the time we got there, it was like 5 in the morning. We're just like destroyed.
Yeah.
You know?
Beat. Yeah.
So it takes a toll on your body, the traveling and all that, right? And we don't really have I don't have the like privilege to be able to like take 2 weeks off work and get there 2 weeks early. Like, I gotta run the gym.
Yeah.
So it's like we had to get there like a night or two early before the fight, right?
And so a fight the next day. Yeah.
The journey was good, man. Me, Johnson, and Dylan fought down there. We all got like first round KOs. Got the belt. It was a good like experience, right? Because you get to see different styles, how they fight down there, how they officiate, how the like commission works, right? So it teaches you a lot of stuff.
Let's talk about struggles. You know, here in Canada, being a pro boxer, Western Canada, like, talk about the struggles of actually getting a pro fight here.
Yeah, it's super hard for sure. I think Western Canada especially, we got a lot of like good talent, like you guys said.
Absolutely.
It's just not showcased as much. Whereas the East Coast is like, dude, they got like in Montreal, they got fights going on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like pro fights on a Tuesday.
The whole family was blocking our view.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so boxing and all that, they take it really seriously over there. And here they do too. It's just we don't have the proper like platform. So I know we talked about it like on that voice call a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, it was a big struggle, right? Like, right after my first pro fight, I had 4 fights booked for 2020. So it was like, it's February. It was Valentine's Day weekend. I won my pro debut. The promoter that was running events here in Calgary is like, you got like 4 fights lined up for the rest of the year. I'm like, okay, sick. I'm going to be 5-0 by the time 2020 is over.
Yeah.
And literally the next month, COVID hits.
Yeah.
And it's like lockdowns. And then I was at my old gym. And then my landlord kicks me out. He's like, yo, this COVID thing's BS. It's going to end in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's what they
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And don't worry, like, just keep paying your rent. I'm not going to pay rent for a place I can't use. So he kicked me out. I had to sell half my equipment and put the other half in storage. And then I started training people out of my garage, like how I started Olympus back in 2015. So it got back to the garage days. And it's like, man, like 5 years later, now I'm back in my garage. It's like everything's going backwards, right? And I started looking for fights, and I started seeing online that like people were fighting in Mexico, people were fighting in Argentina, stuff like South American countries. So I'm like, I got to reach out to these promoters. How do I do that? So I'm reaching out to some people I knew in the States, and like no one's kind of giving me any clear answers. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to boxrec.com, look up past events that have been going on in Mexico, wherever it is in Mexico, and I'll just I'll try to find these promoters' names on Facebook. I messaged like 30 promoters, probably 2 or 3 got back to me, and then I started like turning the wheel a bit and learning how to talk to these promoters and schedule fights. And then I think it was like 2020 was just like all training, because there was like I don't think we could fly at all, if I remember correctly. No. At all. There was nothing, like, unless you were like working or like
you got to quarantine but you got to quarantine for like 2 weeks when you got kind of.
I remember, so I just kind of waited till 2021, and 2021 I went down there to Tijuana, started seeing like Devin Haney, saw Devin Haney had his like first 15 or 20 fights in Tijuana. So I was like, all right, closest place to Calgary, I can fly from Calgary to San Diego and then drive 30 minutes across the border. I'm in Tijuana, I'm in Mexico. So that's what we did. And it was like, I remember like it was so like foreign to us. We were just like, none of us have traveled, like me and my coach and whoever else was with us. We haven't traveled in like 2-3 years.
In a while, yeah.
We're like, you know, you got to wear masks everywhere. Yeah. And then on top of that, we've never fought in Mexico. And then you're like, what's going on, right? So, you know, you're getting ripped off left, right, and center. Because they're telling you, well, you need a COVID test to fight, which you never did, which they charge you $100 US for. You need a blood test for $80 US. And they're like, oh, you need that every time you fight, which you did, and you need it every 6 months. And then they would like charge you, they'd be like, oh, we need a licensing fee, and they double it up on you, right?
Jeez.
But then then I met other promoters that told me you don't have to pay for all those things. Like, they were ripping you off, right? Every promoter is going to rip you off, but like some promoters are a little bit more honest than the other ones, right? So like I started learning the ropes and stuff, and then, you know, scheduling my fights down there, and just going back to back. I think, it was August, September, October. I went back to back. I did 3 pro fights in a row, just nonstop. It was just like, because I was like, I need to catch up on what I've missed, right? Yeah. So it'd be like, win my fight on Saturday, fly back. I'm back at the gym on Monday. I'm training, and then the next month I'm there again, because I'm like, I'm just gonna stay at it, right? Yeah. And it was a nice feeling, because everyone else was sitting on the sidelines doing nothing, in Canada at least, right? And that's kind of where I started. It was a lot of trial and error, though. A lot of struggles, a lot of trial and error, a lot of money lost, like that I probably shouldn't like have had to pay.
Right.
But I mean, it got me to where I am, and now like I have all this stuff in my head that I know exactly how the pro game works, in and out.
It's amazing, man. And like you said, well, everyone was like quarantining, sitting at home. Right. We were trying to stay busy, because that's the biggest struggle during COVID. Like, there was so much uncertainty, and no one really knew what they wanted to do.
Absolutely.
Like how or how they could do it. How could they fight more? Right. But you just went for it.
Yeah, I had to.
Right?
It was like, that. Either that or stay at home and do nothing.
Angelo, you mentioned just getting a fight in Canada as a pro fighter is just extremely hard. You know, a lot of people that we talk to as well, pro fighters, they're just struggling to find fights. And it's tough in the Western Canada, like we all know.
Right.
What can we do in Western Canada do differently, or what can we do to like make the scene bigger here?
I think that like collectively, like pros got to get together, work together. I think the more active pros there are, then it's like we got more fuel to the fire, so we can start doing events and selling out shows, because of how high the like commission rates are and stuff here in Calgary.
Yeah.
Like, if I know that 6-7 guys are pro, me, like George and Dylan, popular guys in the city that are ticket sellers, it's like, okay, if the event costs us $60,000 a run, which is ridiculous, I know at least we can cover that, you know, and break even, and then we can all get fights here, right?
Yeah. But
it's like, I couldn't do it alone. I can't just like have a one-man pro show, right? But if it's, you know, 6-7 of us, a 7-fight pro card, then it's like, I think we can make it work. But I think it's numbers. It's a numbers game. If we have more numbers, then we have a just higher success rate.
And to add to that, I think that's where I think staying busy will also help, because obviously the busier you are, the more exposure you get, the more people know you, right? So even just starting from the amateur scene, I think that's a good start.
Yeah.
Just getting way more fights, and if you're all in Calgary, all in Vancouver, all just in-house in Western Canada, people get to know you more, and that's how you establish people. Because if you have more than 6, let's say a whole now we have 12 people, double that.
Right.
And instead of breaking even, now you can actually start making profit, which all at the end of the day, numbers game, right? So it's just got to build it up.
Yeah. How hard is it to still a pro fight in Calgary?
It's pretty difficult. Honestly, they've made everything difficult since COVID and since Tim Hague passed away in Edmonton. He was one of those boxers that didn't get cleared medically to fight, and then ended up having severe brain damage, got in the ring, got knocked out, and then died.
Yeah.
So rest in peace to him. But
R.I.P.
that really made things difficult, right? Because legally they can't say, we're banning professional combat sports in Alberta. They can't do that. It's illegal. But what they can say is, well, we'll raise the commission rates all the way up to here, so it's super unrealistic and no one can afford to do shows. And then what that does is it eliminates professional combat sports naturally, because no one's going to fork out $60,000-$70,000 to run a pro show, right? It's a lot of money. So there's that. But I think we can get past that, just again, numbers game. Just like the amateurs, when I turned pro out, and then after COVID a little bit, amateur boxing started picking up and getting really busy.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing fights every weekend. Well, why is there fights every weekend? It's because there's so many fighters now that they can just start competing against each other.
Yep.
I think the same thing can happen in the pros. If we have enough pro fighters, then it's it creates a buzz in the city, and we can start doing pro shows more often here.
That's just it, man. Just gotta
just build the community.
Shows, build these fighters.
Right.
I think that's the key.
At
the end of the day, once we have enough, there's gonna be a demand, right?
And that's basically what you're doing right now, bro. With Olympus,
right,
bro.
The whole gym, the community. You guys roll deep, bro. Because we were talking before we started rolling. You had your first fight night. Was it your first fight night? Amateur fight night last week?
No, that was my 11th or 12th one.
11th.
I've done 12 events. Yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
But was last week your biggest turnout?
Last week was the first one I've done in over a year.
Oh wow.
Because we moved to this gym, and I just really wanted to do one right off the bat, but it was we had so much renovating to do and moving stuff in, and then we just got busy and caught up with just the business. We never actually took time aside and planned an event out. We just put it on the back burner. So This was my first event in the past year, and I think it was the biggest turnout, and it was super unexpected. Like I told you before we started the podcast, it was I think we pre-sold 40 tickets, and I had 300 chairs booked, and 400 tickets available. So I'm like, bro, 40 people are gonna show up. We're done. It's gonna be such a bad event. And then literally 300 people were at the door. Crazy. Slammed in here, super packed. But
love it.
It's a nice environment because it reminds me of when I fought on these little club shows, or even fighting as a pro at the Deerfoot Casino in the Chrome Room. It's such a small venue. It's just a little bit bigger than this gym, honestly. And you can hear every punch. The crowd's screaming. It's super intimate in there.
Yeah.
So it's nice because I get to give these amateur guys that pro feeling, Yeah. They get their walkout song. They get these lights.
Sick lights.
Right. And it's the rest of the gym's super dark. So you can only see the ring. Right. Yeah. And it's just packed in here, and people are screaming and yelling. So it gives you that Fight Club feel. And it gets the kids ready, for the bigger stages, right? So when they do want to progress down the road to becoming a pro boxer, they know how it kind of feels because of these shows.
Absolutely love it, man. I was just gonna say, maybe your next pro card, next card deal will make it let's get pro post-fight interviews and all that. It'll be a good idea.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Get that feeling.
Yeah,
that'll be great.
Now, since we're talking about your club, Olympus Boxing Club, how do you you started it originally in your garage?
Yeah, man. It was 2015. Me and my brother, I right out of high school. I graduated in 2013. I went right into just being a personal trainer. Actually, a gym that was down here. It's about a few blocks away. It's a weightlifting gym. I was a personal trainer. I went and got certified, and then I got into coaching boxing there. I was 18 years old, but I was they had no one coaching boxing there. So I was the first guy that was there as a boxing coach. So I was teaching people boxing there, and then it progressed from me doing that to getting a lot of clients.
Yeah.
So I started getting a lot of clients out of there, and then we got enough clients that I was my brother's like, we should open a gym. And I was like, okay, well, we got to start, you know, small. So we started out of like our parents' garage. We literally renovated the whole place, like insulated it, put rubber flooring in. It looked like, I can show you pictures. It looked like a gym. Like if you were in there, you'd be like, I'm in a boxing gym. And then you go outside and you're like, oh, it's a garage. But inside, you wouldn't know that you're in a garage. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, it looked really sick. And we really put a lot of money into it. And then it was like my clients and my brother's clients, and then a lot of our buddies from like high school, junior high, that came by and started training with us. And honestly, it started off as like just like a kind of like a hobby, you know what I mean? Just like you're training the homies and teaching them how to box. They're supporting you and all that. And then we're like, we tried our luck at a boxing tournament. We went up in 2015 to Edmonton for like the first sub-novice tournament that our gym was registered for. And like we're going up against clubs that have been there for like 60, 70 years. Some of these clubs are old, right?
Damn.
And I think we walked out with like 6 wins that weekend. So I'm like, all right, whatever we're doing in that little garage, we're doing it right, and it's working, right? We didn't even have a ring to spar in, bro. We would take the bags down, and we would use the bags, like, and make a ring out of the bags on the floor.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I had 4 bags in there, like banana bags, like those ones back there, and we would like literally lay them out to make a square.
That's your border, yeah.
Yeah. So if you get out of there, you trip and fall, right?
Yeah.
So basically, just stay in there, right?
Yeah.
So that was our ring, man. Like, a lot of like the first guys at Olympus, like the Olympus veterans, like those guys have never been in a boxing ring until their first fight. That was the first time in an actual ring. They never actually sparred in a ring before. So their first time in a ring was their actual fight, right? And that's where we started. And all those guys that started with me in 2015 are still at the gym, like to this day.
Wow.
Like, so it's consistent. Like we're a family, right? But yeah, they've been around since 2015, and that's where we started the gym. And then we outgrew the garage, like it's getting to a point where we had like 20 people in the garage in an hour. So it's like it's crazy. It was getting super hot and steamy in there. And you're like, holy crap, this place is like a dungeon, bro. And then 2017 we moved into our first commercial location. That was like the first actual like commercialized Olympus.
Yeah.
And then we moved in there, and then we were there for 3 years. Then COVID hit. And then I had to restart all over again. And then I was back in my garage for like a year because COVID lockdowns, all that.
Yeah.
And I was just low-key training people still. So I was like, all the homies still pulled up to the crib. We were training them and all that. And then, and then we moved into our last location in 2021. Or the end of 2020, yeah. And then we were there for like 2.5 years. And then I found this place and I jumped on it, man. I really liked the location. I liked the floor-to-ceiling windows. And I was like, this is a sick place for a gym. So I jumped on this one. We've been here for almost a year. We moved in here in January.
It's a nice, it's a really nice space, man.
Yeah.
You guys pimped it out, man. These lights especially, dude.
Honestly, yeah, I just wanted to like go for a straight Floyd Mayweather style gym, super high-end equipment. Make sure that the gym was the best in the city. From the sparring to the trainers to the equipment, I wanted to make sure that no one's beating us in the city. Like, this is going to be the #1 gym. I think we've achieved that, right? Because like everything here is like high-end, right? Like all the bags are decked out, custom.
So sick.
Custom bags, custom rival bags, you know.
What do you think contributed to your guys' success here at the gym?
I think the family feel, man. Everyone comments on the family feel. Like if you go on our Google reviews, it's like we have like 300 5-star reviews.
Hell yeah.
And it's all about like people are talking about, they're so welcoming there. Everyone talks to you. Steve and Angelo will come up to you and just train you and spar with you even if you're new, and you know, like everyone's just like super nice and everyone's humble. No one's got an ego, and like you read the reviews, people are always talking about well knit, like family feel, like it's a family business, you know. You can tell it's family run.
Yeah.
And that's like that's what we're always going for, and it's nice because like it sets like trends, you know, because then more people come in here and they're like, okay, I feel welcome here. Because boxing is like intimidates people, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people like don't want to go into a boxing club, especially women.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, it's scary. I don't want to, like, I don't know what to expect. What if I get beat up, right? I don't want to get mean mugged.
Yeah.
They come in here like, oh man, everything, like all that gets thrown out the window. Like, never mind. Everyone's super like friendly here.
And man, I can attest to that because the first time coming here, where I first trained with Willett.
Yeah.
Obviously, like first walking in, I'm like, okay, a lot of guys are here. I feel a little intimidated, you know, as you walk in, but right away I got welcomed. You know, Steve was there right away. He's like, oh, what's up? It's like you already knew me, kind of thing. So I can attest to that because it literally has that welcoming feeling. And
right.
For a beginner, it's really, you know, it takes out that stress.
100%.
Because again, they feel welcome. Everyone's here to help, regardless. Regardless of their statute, right? They can be pro or amateur. They're always here to help each
100%.
But to add an additional question to that, man, how does Olympus impacted the local community since it started?
Oh man, big time. Like, it's we're in the Northeast, as you know, right? And I'm proud of being from the Northeast. Like, everyone knows that. Yeah. Right? Like, some people dub me as the Northeast Prince. Like, that's like, but bro, I love the Northeast. Like, I just love it here, right? Like, I was basically born and raised here, right? So I know, like, growing up, like, troubled youth, man. I know like a lot of people get into gang violence. You know, they're in the streets, right? So it's like, it's nice to show kids that, yo, look at me, like, I'm also from here.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not doing that, but I'm successful, right? And honestly, it's been very inspirational to a lot of kids because they look at me and Steve and a lot of these other guys at the gym as role models.
True.
Man, if they can do it, I can do it. I don't need to go, gangbang in the streets. I don't need to do this and that. You know, I can stay in school and I can go hit the boxing club and win belts and win medals, man. Like, you
can say scrap legally.
Right, exactly. You get rewarded for it, right? Yeah, so absolutely. I think we've changed the community a lot here. Like, we've helped the community, like, from troubled youth to keeping kids off the streets and getting them to boxing and rewarding them with winning fights and stuff like that. And then I work with, like, special needs. I do special needs programs for, like, autistic kids. So I've been doing that for, like, 8 years. Just working with, like, autistic kids and making specialized autism boxing programs. So we do that a lot. So it's like trying to give back to the community, whether that's troubled youth or setting up special needs programs for kids, in need. That, giving everyone a chance to box, right? Not just me or you or Marv, getting, like, kids that maybe they watch it on YouTube, like a kid that's on the spectrum and he's like, I want to be a boxer, right? Yeah. He comes in here, he feels welcomed, right? Yeah, and it's like absolutely. That to them, that makes their whole, like, day. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if I go up to them or any of the trainers go up to them and do mitts for them for, like, 5 minutes, they're gonna remember that for, like, 2-3 months.
100%.
They're gonna remember that like it's, like, ingrained in their head, right? So I think we've impacted the community a lot.
I'd agree too, man, because we have some of the kids from Olympus follow us.
Right.
I'll just check them out every now and then. I'm like, damn, these guys are, like, dedicated, loyal to the gym, and it's like boxing is all that they can really think of, or it's all that they really want to do.
100%.
And, like, the fact that you were able to do that, to influence younger children to be invested in a sport like this, big.
Yeah,
big. You don't need a lot of money to start boxing, so it's really good.
100%,
man. You don't even need a ring, as you know, right?
Yeah, so. Exactly.
Last few questions for me, man. Is it tough balancing being a gym owner and a pro fighter?
It has its struggles for sure. I've had to, like, definitely put some of my roles on some of the trainers here. Yeah. Right? Definitely had to take pay cuts to, achieve my, like, goals and dreams. But I always, like, kind of put it in the back of my head, like, I can run a successful gym and business, like, multiple businesses when I'm 40 years old, but you can't fight for a world title when you're 40 years old. True. Right? Mm. And if you do, probably not going to win. Yeah. Right? So it's like, for me, I'm always prioritizing my youth and my prime. And it's like, I'll take my pay cuts right now. Right? I'll take my pay cuts. I'll give my roles, my clients, my classes to other trainers at the gym because I got to go focus on me. Right? And I've really learned, like, especially over this last year, being at this gym, to prioritize myself and, like, kind of just whatever, like, money comes and goes, I can just put that to the side, take a little pay cut, and just pursue my dreams, put more time into my pro career. Even though it's not paying off right now, I know, like, eventually it's going to pay off, right? So definitely had a lot of struggles. Like, past couple of years trying to balance the pro life and the boxing, like the boxing gym business side of things. It was difficult, but now I'm like, I think I got it pretty ironed out.
Yeah, because it's tough. I would imagine, because like running a gym is, from what I hear from people in BC, it's tough, right? Because especially if you're like, you don't really have a big team yet,
right?
You have to be at the gym every single day.
Yeah.
Then you got to balance it with training. Then you have to balance it with all your personal life as well. Like finding balance is tough. So good on you for being able to find that like, happy.
I mean, and shout out to my team, man. Like I couldn't do it without them, because like if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do it, right? And I've gotten rid of like a lot of negativity and dead weight here at the gym, and I kind of like realized who my real people are, like my close circle of people. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I'm super grateful for them, because I come into the gym and I'm like, damn, I'm really like now, especially the last couple months, I realize who my real ones are, right? And who I'm surrounded with. And it's like when you're at your lowest, that's where your real ones kind of come out and yo, I got you. I'm gonna lift you up and take care of you, right? And it's like, it's nice to see that, right? Because you really see like in your dark moments, you kind of see who's there for you, right? And when you need them the most, when you need to go to Colombia for a week and train or go fight out there, they're like, well, I'll handle your trainings, I'll handle your clients, I'll run the gym, don't worry, I got you. And it's like, damn, like I'm grateful for that every morning. I wake up, I come to the gym, and I'm like I'm surrounded by some real like people that would take a bullet for me, you know? But it took a lot of like struggle. It took a lot of ups and downs to see who was there for you at the end, like, you know? So grateful for that for sure.
Yeah, loyalty's big, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Huge. Because if you don't have that, it's like, buddy, we're not gonna go far.
Right, this.
We're gonna have this, right? I guess last question for you, man, because the one thing me and Stefan and with the Triple M's, what we want to do is we really want to build a community, right? And what you've done it successfully, right? And the biggest thing that you mentioned was like just making it feel like family. How would you build a proper community, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of like motivating people, right? Like motivating people. You gotta like, everything you do, people are looking at you and they want to do that too, right? Or they're gonna copy you.
That's true.
So I'm drinking this water bottle, and it's Pure Life Nestea, right? One kid that's 14 years old is gonna be like, well, if Angelo's drinking that, I'm gonna drink that too, right? So whatever you do, whether that's like if I was smoking, a 14 or 15-year-old kid's gonna be like, okay, if Angelo's smoking, I can go smoke too. Yeah. Like he's like, it's appropriate, right? Like I can go smoke too. So it's like, you gotta always like, when building a good, successful community, you gotta like know that there's some alphas or some leaders in that community, and you gotta make sure that you're like, when you're trailblazing, that you're doing it the right way. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't be smoking, I can't be drinking, I can't be partying till 3 a.m.
True.
Because I'm one of these alphas in this community. If these kids are seeing me do that, it's deteriorating the community. It's not right. So I think a big thing is like being like on your top game and just kind of being a role model for everyone. And when you're like that alpha or that leader of the community, you gotta like, you gotta be on your top, like best behavior, you know?
Totally agree, man. Influence is a big thing.
Yeah.
Especially, you think a lot of people don't look up to you, or a lot, like, especially these little kids. Trust me, they do.
They do.
Right.
Even if you don't know, and all the thing is, all it takes is one, too. If they see you holding that cigarette, they're like, okay, and that's 100%, right? So you got to be careful. And I think that's a really great advice, man. Especially building that community.
Right.
You always got to make sure that you are doing the right thing, because people are always watching, regardless how big that audience is.
Right, exactly. You don't know how big it is sometimes.
Exactly.
You gotta do like certain things. Like I have like half the gym on Nike Run Club, right? So it's like, they know exactly, we hold each other accountable, and that builds a good community. So they know how much I'm running every month.
Yep.
If I'm one of the top dogs in the gym, I better be at the top of that list, you know? I better be running 50 kilometers a month, 60 kilometers a month, right? Which I am. And it's like, you know, even that, it's like we hold each other accountable. But it's like, okay, like one of these amateur kids who's 16 years old in high school sees me running at 2 a.m. and then like the next day I see him post at 2 a.m. on his Instagram. He ran a 5K at 2 a.m. and it's like, all right, I see you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's nice to see that. But it's like, that could also, like we said, it could be the opposite. They could see me partying and drinking at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not going for a run. Angelo isn't running.
Yeah.
You know, I'll do, you know, exactly, right?
It's all about leading by example.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. Especially
100%.
if you're building that, you want to build that community, you can build it negatively too.
Right.
That's the thing. So you just gotta make sure you're on the positive, you know, taking it positively. So, man, where can they find you?
At Angelo Habib, and that at Olympus Boxing Club, and it goes the same for Facebook and Instagram. And then our website, olympusboxingclub.com.
Now, I guess I have one more question.
There you go.
The very last question for
You
me.
said last early. That's why I asked.
I keep thinking of stuff. I'm like, damn, I want to find out. So, 5 years.
Yeah.
The next 5 years, where do you see Angelo Habib being? It's going to be a 2 question. That's the first one.
Man, so that's not his last question.
2 more questions.
5-year plan for sure. Like, I don't know. I'd be 32-ish around there. So I'm hoping, man, like, God willingly, world title by then, right? So like, definitely like keep building the gym, and if that means that we get, you know, we're already getting pretty packed in here, but we get more packed that I have to move out and get a bigger location, then so be it. Get a bigger location. Keep building the gym. Keep building the culture here for amateur boxing, and getting these kids, you know, a platform, giving them a really good platform. And then 2024, like right when the year starts, just start doing pro shows in Calgary for a year. Start doing like really just hit it off and start doing pro boxing here, so that I have a platform for the pro fighters and upcoming amateurs that are going pro, that they can have a platform to fight here. And then just build it up, scale it. And then like I said, I don't want to be traveling anymore for fights. It takes a toll on your body, right? So I'd rather be fighting here in my home city, right, where all the supporters and the fans and family and everyone's here. So get a platform going, and then from there just keep building it up, and hopefully win a few titles in Calgary, and then get my shot at something like what Steve has, like a WBO international title, something that'll put me in the top 15. But I want to get that all done before the 5-year mark for sure. Sure. And if that also means a world title's in the mix in the next 5 years,
why not?
God willing,
Why
right?
not?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. No, it's exciting. And I guess that answered my second part, because I wanted to see what the future plans for Olympus was, but that's basically it too.
Yeah.
Right?
And I love that. Just building a platform. Again, I think that's the solution. Just got to make sure these guys get exposed,
Right.
amateurs and pros, and
100%.
we don't have to go anywhere, man. We can just have to drive rather than flying all the way to Montreal.
Exactly.
Right?
Matt, so the last question we asked everyone here.
Right.
Who should be our next guest on this podcast? And obviously, you got to hook us up.
100%. I got you guys. One guess, right?
Oh, if you have like 8.
I got two. I got 2 guys that are like solid guys that with awesome personalities that you guys should definitely talk to, because they can just like flood you with information, but they got good stories and they got good backgrounds in life. Kamani Crawford.
Ooh.
Kamani's a killer, man. Inside and outside of the ring. That guy is like just driven, bro.
Yeah.
Like that guy's driven. Like, I love that guy, man. That guy is serious.
Yeah.
And then Chris Saunders. Chris Saunders is my like childhood best friend since we were like 5. Another guy that's been through the struggle. He's like a pro bodybuilder though, but he's got the same kind of like concepts, you know, like he's been through that struggle, and it'd be nice to have him on the show.
Angelo, again, thank you so much for
Appreciate
showing
it, man.
us to your amazing facility.
Awesome.
Bro. Like,
Yep.
it's always a pleasure shooting the shit with you. Even in Montreal, I remember
For
when
sure.
you wanted me that little spice thing.
Yeah.
So every time I'm making my chicken with spices, I'm like,
100%.
When he scored like 2 or something, I'm like, you got to be
oh, what? It's just because it's my hook, man.
I dislocated my shoulder for that.
So every time I'm cooking my chicken and I look at the seasoning, I'm like, Angelo won this.
Yeah, we had a good time that night in Montreal. That was
It was a
good.
good time. Now,
We went from like the very back to like ringside.
And they're trying to kick us out.
yeah. Dude, at one point they're like, you guys know this is televised, right? I'm like, yeah, but... And you're like, I'm his coach.
But they let us no, and then they came back again. Like, wow.
Because we were recording. It's like, everyone else is recording.
Right. But we were Quebecois, you know? So.
Hey, that's exactly what it was, right? But again, thank you so much for shooting
For sure,
with us.
bro.
We appreciate
Thank you guys for having me.
Next time, man, we're going to run it back in like 5 years once you have that. Then you
Less
belt.
than that,
Less than
bro.
that, but
Yeah.
it's fine. Again, thanks so much, man. Appreciate
Yeah,
you.
and I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it, bro.
Again, not again. Until next time, guys. My name is MP.
My name is Stefan SB, and we have
Angelo Habib.
Yes, sir. And we're out.
We out.